Okay, finally. Apologies for the mess, but no, we're sorted. I don't know how the screen works. Inflation. For the methods kids, you wouldn't be aware of this, although your parents might have told you what inflation is, and they'd be complaining about petrol prices these days. When I was growing up, petrol was 80 cents per litre. It's over double that, okay? The price of everything goes up over time. What causes that? Inflation. Inflation is the ever-increasing price of goods and services over time. Why? Why do the prices go over time? What's happening to the population of Australia over time? Growing. Our resources aren't necessarily growing that fast. So that larger population is fighting over the same stuff, right? So to make it even, we need to increase the price of everything. What happens when demand goes up for stuff? What happens to the price of something if everyone wants it? It goes up. So because the population of our countries is always going up, the demand for stuff goes up, prices go up. That's the reason for it. For our purposes in Year 12 maths, we assume that inflation just makes prices go up by a certain percentage every year. It's not really like that. Inflation is sometimes, like during COVID, inflation was like nothing, but now it's like 7%. It's crazy. Okay, so it goes up and down. But for us, we just assume it's like a set percentage for a long time because it's too hard for you to constantly change it every year. All right. Finding the increased price of something due to inflation is called indexing for inflation. How do we do that? We use this formula here. So I'll give you some writing time to find the value indexed for inflation is the original price of the thing times by, in brackets, 1 plus I, and those brackets are to the power of n. What is I? I is the inflation rate as a decimal. N is the number of years of inflation. So a little bit of writing time there. You can leave that formula on your cheat sheet. And then I'll explain why. That's important for shares. All right, let's discuss. Why is it important to consider the effect of inflation when we're doing investments? Do investments take time? Is it going to take you a while to get a capital gain? So we need to consider the fact everything is going up in price at the same time as you're trying to invest. So say if you intended to make a capital gain of $1,000, you wanted to buy something that was $1,000. So you invested, and then you waited, and then you sold the shares exactly when you were going to make $1,000. Well, inflation means that the item would what? Would it stay the same price, or would it cost more, or would it cost less? More. You are planning to have $1,000, but that thing is no longer $1,000. It's going to be more than that. So you're even going to be able to buy the thing that you're planning to do. You can't. I don't have what it costs anymore. I've got $1,000. So my $1,000 investment lost buying power. It can't buy the thing that I was trying to buy. So that $1,000 growth is no longer the return that you thought it was. Why? Because everything else went up in price at the same time. So acknowledging that, we need to find the real annual rate of return on an investment. This is the percentage your investment has increased by each year while considering the effect of inflation at the same time. That sounds complicated, but I'll give you a quick example. Let's say my money, just according to the numbers, went up by 10% in 1 year, right? But based on what I've talked about here, inflation makes the cost of everything also go up. So if my money increased by 10%, but the price of everything increased by 3%, technically, how much did my money grow by? Good. That's how you account for the real annual rate of return. These days, because inflation is so high, 7%, let's say your money grew by 5%, but inflation was 7%. Did your money actually grow? No, you actually lost money even though the numbers are bigger. Okay? Yeah, do you remember the strikes that they had for the teachers last year? They're looking for a pay increase. When you're told that, oh, we're looking for a pay increase of 3%, but inflation at the same time was 5%, are we actually getting a pay increase?
No.
No. See what? I don't actually agree with that because everyone is struggling these days. Everyone should get a pay increase. But that's an example that's applicable to you. It's applicable to me. Okay? So, how do we find the real annual rate of return? Please get these steps down. I'll give you a long time, like 5 minutes, and then I'll show you a full example of that. This is the hardest calculation you need to do, but if you have these instructions on your cheat sheet, you shouldn't be able to get it wrong. Okay? So 5 minutes. I'll get back to you at 10 past. We're a little bit ahead, and I got permission from a student from last year to show you their shares assignment as an example for this year. So we'll spend a couple of, I'll give you some lessons to have a read over that so you see what you're aiming to do in the assignment coming up. We're going to start a week earlier than what it says in the timeline. The due date won't change. If you're subbed, I apologise for the Year 11 maths video today. I forgot to take my sunglasses off. Just like an old man trying to look cool. They're prescription, so that's my only defence. The kids said I should do like a pinned comment to say they're prescription in capitals. Exclamation, exclamation. You have a Casio. Who else had a Casio? I just saw someone over there that had a Casio calculator. Oh, damn it. I'll erase that. There'll just be a silence in the middle of the video. Who else had the Casio? I saw someone who had this. I'm getting old. Seeing things.
I hope you'll be able to see.
Yes, with the glasses, with the prescription. I just got roasted in my own video. Thank you. Yes?
Do we have that, I think it was last year, do we have that link thingy to that graphics calculator?
They blocked it.
They blocked?
Yes.
Why did they block it?
That Internet Archive has links to questionable content.
Oh, damn it. They found out.
Do you know what anime is?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what adult anime is? It had links to that. So they blocked it. You can access it on. You can access it after school if you really want to. The calculator, I mean.
Yeah. It's still not like ads get blocked already, or
Huh? It's not ads. That's Internet Archive, so there's no ads. But the fact that that gave access to a website that had links to
I see. All right.
questionable content, it's still there.
Oh, yeah? Okay. I'll go find it.
Do your homework first.
Oh, yeah.
This homework folder is going to be massive. 12 terabytes. He'll need like his own power plant. A couple more minutes and then I'll do the example.
There's an old IT teacher in the school.
Oh, that's sketch.
No, yeah, access to security things. You just get to the kindergarten.
That's so
It's
good.
not even funny, blah.
Yeah, it's not funny. It's not. Is he fired now?
Yeah,
Yeah, good. Probably in prison.
I think so.
It's funny when kids need like the textbook and stuff, and I just give them my iPad or my computer. And it's like, what are you doing? I got nothing to hide, bro. You can look at pictures of my little son. He's so cute. I made a GIF of his first steps. He's like,
Let's see, sir.
yeah, you're writing. I think it's.
Oh, Jesus, what?
Yeah, I've got dash cam footage of him walking into the middle of the road.
Can we see? Wait, I just
Show us.
That's not going to be on YouTube, all right? I'll have to show it next time. I think I removed it. All right, let's do an example. We've added to the Hub Jesus law on YouTube now. He actually, if you're driving, please be careful on Hub Drive,
Oh yeah.
because he actually walks into the middle of the road. So I've literally documented it's happened a number of times. All right, inflation question example. Madge bought 500 shares, $2.50 each, sold them 2 years later, $3 each. Flat brokerage of $20 applied for each transaction. Inflation averaged 3% over the same time period. In your practice test, all of the steps are stepped out, but I'm telling you, you're probably going to be asked to just find the real annual rate of return. Does this set of instructions give you the steps to do that? So, step 1 is find the total cost of buying the shares. That is a buying calculation. So, step 1 to do this, buy. How do I find the buy? What are the 3 parts of a buying calculation? I know it's annoying that I repeat that, but the reason why I repeat it exactly the same time is so that you can't whinge to me later that I didn't show you how to do it. So there was 500 shares that she bought at what price? 250 equals a number. 500 times by 2.5. You flexing your maths at us? Brokerage. It was a flat fee, so it was just 20. And GST is 10% of that, so 0.1 times by 20 is going to be $2, so equals 20 equals 2. Cost of buying equals 1250, 1270, 1272. That was the cost of the buying. That's your first step down. Step 2. Index the total cost of buying the shares for inflation. You have an inflation formula here. So indexed value equals the original 1272 times by 1 plus. What's the inflation rate in the question? What is that as a decimal? 0.03, and I'm raising it to the power of, how many years was it inflating for? 2. Excellent. Just for anyone that doesn't know, because it will be too hard for me to superscript it, that little hat symbol is to the power of, okay? So equals, I'll do it on my calculator, 1272 times by bracket 1 plus 0.03 to the power of 2. That spits out a number. How many decimal points are we acceptable to deal with in general maths when we're dealing with money?
2.
2. You won't lose marks if you write to 2DP. If you don't write to 2DP, you'll lose a mark for that because it's not accurate. Question?
Isn't it 0.47?
What's the number after 6?
Oh, it's 4. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we fixed that. So if the number after the round off place is less than 5, you leave it. You just cut off. If it's 5 or greater, you round up, which is what you were thinking, okay? 3, find the total return from selling the shares. Do you know how to sell shares? Do you have a calculation for that? Sell. What are the 3 parts of selling shares? You can sigh, it's okay. What are the 3 parts of selling shares?
Consideration, brokerage,
Yes.
and GST.
What do I do this time? Do I add them or subtract them? Good. If you want to remind yourself, take take, I was selling the 500 shares. What am I selling them for this time? $3. Why do you do it with that accent? What's up with that? Be careful now. 1,500. Brokerage was 20 again. Equals 20 equals 20. Wow. And GST 0.1 times by, don't keep digging yourself a hole, $2. Return from selling. I can't do that by hand. I need the calculator because it's three things. So 1,500 minus 20 minus 2, 1478. So this person, did this person make money?
Yes.
They did make money. However, what we're doing here is acknowledging the fact that inflation was 3% over that time. So that money is not as powerful as we think it's going to be. So the last step is 4. If you have a Casio calculator, you'll need your own instructions. It's not too different. If you have the graphics calculator, can you please follow along? What you're always going to notice in my notes is if anything is in round brackets, that means you're pressing a button. So what button am I asking you to pressing? Apps. Can you see there's an apps button in violet or purple on the screen here? Apps. So you press that. You select one, finance, and then you select one TVM solver. You're going to see a screen like this in term 3. Okay? Because this is left over. But right now, if you want to start fresh, make everything 0 except for the bottom 2. Leave them at 1. That's the default screen for this. I'll go into TVM solver more when we're hammering it, but this question type is the only time you use TVM solver in shares. So start it off fresh, 0 for everything except 1s at the bottom 2. So what do your instructions tell you to put into TVM solver? N is the number of years of inflation. So how many years of inflation was this for? 2. What does it say I is, or do I just leave it alone for now? Leave it. That's what I'm finding. That's the answer to the question. What does it tell you PV should be? The cost of buying that I indexed, but as a what? A negative. Please be careful. This is a graphics calculator, so it's pedantic. This sign is the take sign. That's not negative. Can you guys see another take sign with brackets around it somewhere? That's the negative sign. On a graphics calculator, if you're making something negative, you press this. Please notice, I'll show you why. Because if I put take 1349.46, my calculator is going to freak out. See? It says a syntax error because what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. So if I fix that and make it negative, if I press this button, now it knows I'm talking about a negative number. When I press enter, it doesn't freak out anymore. What does it tell me to make PMT? 0. What does it tell me to make FV? Return from selling, which we worked out, 1478. What does it tell me to make PY and CY? 1. So we've entered everything as directed here. Once entered, use the arrows to select I and press alpha enter. What do you see in green over enter? What does it say? Solve. So if I want to solve something, I need to press the alpha button to get to the green functions and press enter to get solved. So I go alpha, enter, and that is your answer. What is the real annual rate of return from Madge? Her shares grew by 4.65% every year. How do I show the working for this? You just tell me what you put into the calculator. So your working out should look like, I'll do a neta, n is equal to 2. Put stars next to what you solved for, 4.65 to 2 dp. PV, what did I enter it as? Negative $1,349.46. PMT was 0. FV was 1478. PY equals 1. CY equals 1. And then answer in a sentence, because you've still got marks for putting that in, but say the real annual rate of return was 4.65% per annum. What does per annum mean? Every year. Done. That's how you find the real annual rate of return on an investment. 4 steps.